La la, la la, la. Stay with me, I'll never be sad. I will embrace your bubbles of fluids and keep you warm.
You are a child. Your parent yells at you. You're told, just grin and bear it. Someone pushes you at school. You are told, that's just life. You were moved to the warning part of the behavior chart for something that wasn't your fault. You're told it is what it is. You are a teenager. Your parent yells at their neighbor. You grin and bear it. Terrible rumors about a classmate circulate school. You decide that's just life. An acquaintance was punished for something that was no fault of their own. You decide it is what it is. You are an adult. Your parent has argued with you for years now. You tell yourself, just grin and bear it. Your colleagues feel isolated at work day by day. You tell yourself, that's just life. Multitudes are put in jail for a crime they didn't commit. You tell yourself, it is what it is. Day by day, year by year, we are silently taught throughout our lives to swallow these injustices and remain passive as the system bears down and hurts person after person. But this isn't how it's always been. A distant past, long before agricultural society emerged, these practices of maladjustment were punished by the social group, as there was incentive to remain in a group, to be selfless, to be true to our social natures. If you were cruel or hoarded, the group would simply leave you behind or reprimand you for your behavior. But now, in society where our populations are massive and rooted to territory with assets to defend, it has created an allowance of detachment, of surplus, of gluttony. Our lives have been gradually shifted from being gardens worthy of preservation into hollowed-out machines meant to serve until we fall apart. An endless hoard meant to feed the machine of gluttony. A machine that has been meticulously pushed, shoved, and made into normalcy long before many of us were even born, long before any of us could have had the chance to say anything against it. Our reality mirrors the city in a way, as fiction serves as a held mirror to reality. In the city, people are taught from birth the same kind of permissive attitude, that they cannot rise up and change anything, that they are to either keep their heads down or climb the mountain of bodies to escape the dregs of the back streets, to further the idea that your common man is nothing more than fuel, their merit weighed based on how useful they are rather than their value as a person. Canto 4 of Limbus Company is an amazing showcase of this trial, this conundrum that's been birthed between the cautionary tale and the true way forward for all of us. It presents the budding idealism, the fall to the gorge, and finally the truth that has been buried by manufactured apathy. If it turns out you enjoy the video, please remember to like and subscribe. Comment your thoughts also. It really helps things come along and us to reach more people. But without further ado, let's explore how Canto 4 explores these themes. It all began years ago with an expedition into the world beyond the outskirts, mounted by two individuals, Stephanette and an unnamed boy. Stephanette recounted a tale that something which lives in these unknown parts is able to grant the wishes of those who are earnest. Before she could extrapolate, she spotted some flowers, leaving the boy alone for a moment. As he stood beneath the ever-bright stars, looking to the distant city filled with agony, he wished nothing more than to cry with all of those who were tormented within its walls. His shape forever changed. That is what Stephanette would discover upon her return, recognizing his wish fulfilled. For a time, the boy's wish would have been peacefully granted. He got to hear the stories he loved so dearly, and in turn he would cry tears that would be used to heal the pains of the city. With these tears, K Corp was able to utilize a very precious singularity without the need to torment. That K Corp could reach a point of satisfaction, of enough. They were likely doing well for themselves selling tears to the higher class who could afford it. This technology didn't appear to be sweeping knowledge for a time, so assumedly corporations like L Corp or similar entities were their primary sellers. Before recent years, there's no mention of their technology being broadly used at all, not even in the smoke war. Things would only change with Stephanette's passing. Even though she was a selfless woman who saw the tearful thing as that same boy she knew so long ago, a dear friend to work alongside to aid mankind, the inheritors of her responsibility had far less noble intentions. There was nothing left behind to protect the tearful thing with her passing. She likely hoped in goodwill that her example and will would be passed on. But all the members of the board saw were numbers on a spreadsheet. There was no concern with having enough in them. They wanted more. They wished to extract more. There was no satisfaction with the gluttonous. And so the harm began. The torment of the tearful thing, the devaluing of its humanity, forcing it to produce and produce to satisfy the endless gaping maw that is the next quarter's profit goals. K Corp's product became widespread, both to hurt and help, to torment and fix, yet another tool of profit and subjugation extracted endlessly, with no intention of reparation to that which was extracted from. The goodwill of the past did not put up enough to protect it in the present, though Stephanette saw him as the person dealing good deeds. They did not. Why should they, after all? It's not a person in them anymore. It's just a resource. A resource to be abused to make those exciting numbers they love more than life keep climbing. That's what we all become in the groaning machine of endless profit, lacking restraint or satisfaction. Numbers on a sheet. Resources to be expended to the point of insanity, sickness, and death. Tearful things. A young man from humble, rural beginnings. His heart was soft. He wished to help animals. He would even go out of his way to aid a yellow calf that had been rejected by his mother, even if it was systemically illogical to aid a male calf. Raising a male calf of a dairy cow into a fine bull would be considered a tremendous waste of resources in a system powered by ruthless efficiency. It wouldn't be suitable for reproduction, as the farm likely had a bull for that purpose already. Yet he helped the calf anyway, because at the time within his home, he was uninterested in looking upward. He only decided to look in front of him and see an animal dearly in need. But because of S Corp's corruption and destabilization, Dongrang, alongside his friends Isang and Dongrang, would have to leave their home for better prospects within T Corp. And thus would come the steady death of the young man's warm heart. T Corp has proven to be amongst the more class warfare entrenched wings. Profits, inequality, and the illusions of meritocracy by the way of inventor conventions, creating pressures among its citizens. The only speck of solace from this grind would be amongst fellows who wish nothing more than to indulge in the act of creation, with no interest in profits or growth, merely wishing to enjoy sharing what they've made. But even within this group, the stresses and pressures of the outside world would leak in, especially for Dongrang. Even here, he was still trying to be his good-hearted self, helping animals and creating things that could aid them, but others of the League had hardly much interest in what he had made. Dongrang would tease him, though, even if it was likely meant with a light heart, it did nothing to assuage his dying heart. He began to see his inventions as merely useless playthings if they weren't capable of being practically used, in comparison to Yongji's glass window, or later, Isang's mirror. Dongrang likely found it appalling that Isang held no interest in exposing his technology at the next inventors' convention. With Yongji more often than not failing to show up, Dongrang really only had Isang to harbor envy toward. Especially when all the technology, barring the glass window and the mirror, were incinerated. It likely already wounded him dearly to find out that K Corp had popularized the singularity, rendering his healing technology worthless. Little did he know, his technology could have been far less horrific to manufacture and produce for the city than the tears. With it gone to the concept incinerator, so did his heart finally die. Isang wanted to reach out, but Dongrang would not accept it. The place where his kindness once prospered now rotted into an ever-deepening hole that wished to be filled by recognition and success, as he allowed his lack of self-worth and the pressures of the outside to crush him and reshape him into yet another cog to be set to work. Dongrang did not become the heartless employee of K Corp, chasing rewards and promotions atop the bodies of humans and animals alike by a single choice. No. The environment and an assortment of decisions warped him into this. The refusal to reach out and speak earnestly enabling the crushing of his heart. Iseng was there, always wanting to help, but Danang's jealousy kept him at bay. This is what these systems do to us. The cruelty of the machine has to be active, consistent, and permitted, or else its malice cannot take hold. Humans bear within them an innate desire to help one another and seek counsel, but within us are multitudes, for better or worse. These systems, they encourage the worst parts of ourselves, the most addictive, base instincts, the immediate gratification, the thing that makes you feel better immediately, the thing that you reach to at the surface. You are not permitted to stop and think. You have to keep going, moving, no thinking, no wondering, no curiosity, nothing. Just keep working the machine. The next quarter won't look as good if you slow down, after all. Coming back to Danang, look at his ego, Farm Watch. It is based off a particular character from a play created by his inspiration, Yu Qichin, who was previously an advocate for farmers, but had betrayed his own ideology upon coming upon a comfortable position, entirely inverting his beliefs once he got his. The play in question is called The Cow, where a maruem, a historical term for not a farmer, but rather a farm supervisor, something of a middle manager who does not actually work the fields nor owns the land, seizes the prize cow of the farm. The play ends with the eldest son of the main character setting the landlord's grain storage ablaze. In the chaos, the cow is enabled to escape from the maruem, and in turn charges and kills the maruem. I also, in a way, see his ego as the embodiment of agricultural society, where, within unchecked systems, we have artificially created hierarchies and sowed corruption into our social frameworks, an unrestrained system that enables the formation of these empty-handed people, empowered with no solidarity or community with those who work beneath them. Why would they? They got theirs. The rest are to grovel, after all. We are thrust into a high-pressure environment that endlessly demands with no satisfaction, the stress and pressure breaking a great many souls who were not prepared for such cruelty, such unrestraint, convincing them that the only way out of the nightmare is to look up and climb, to ignore your neighbor's plight, to bury your heart, to keep looking up and never in front of you. That all the joys of your life will be achieved if you just get to the top. Because they fooled us, they fooled all of us into thinking if you just work hard enough, if you just break your body enough, you will be happy. But this isn't true. This isn't normal. Even the people at the top aren't happy. Look at them. We can't allow these constructs running wild to break us and shape us into their pawns. The world will never heal if we allow endless growth to cannibalize and devalue every life under the sun in its endless pursuit of more. Gluttony is truly an ugly sin that I am certain many of us are aware of. Don't lose heart. Don't lose hope. Don't accept this as your reality. Recognize this as the abnormal, the parasitic. Recognize this and hold your kind heart as strongly as you can. Remain kind. Remind others that they still can be kind. They can come together. We can put the brakes on this tragedy if we look amongst each other instead of up or away from each other's suffering. Iseng's view of the League was likely idealized in his mind. He saw them all as friends despite their divisiveness. He turned a blind eye to the creeping rot to maintain the illusion of companionship, as he wished so dearly for others who shared his passions. The death of the League is what ultimately broke Iseng's heart and created his permissivity. He became convinced if he merely lied down and did everything he was told, then it would be alright. It's his friend Gubo after all. He has to be looking out for him. He could spare himself any further anguish if he did not make a definitive decision for himself. But even in this state, he refused to fully compromise his morals. Though he would formulate the groundwork for N Corp's access to mirror technology, he refused to join the League ultimately. Gubo, taking advantage of his state, would continuously medicate him in an effort to influence his opinion. Thus would come to a head as Sang-yi instructed him to not take his next dosage for 3 days in order to lift his mind into a clearer state, and then gave him 2 options to alleviate this limbo. Either he swallows a higher dose of his medication and fall into a deep sleep, or leave. Within his clarity, he saw how his technology was being used, and something stirred in him. Even though he figured this to be some form of misunderstanding, he kept walking. Even as Gubo spoke cruel words his way, he kept walking. He left N Corp. He kept walking, until within a shower of rainfall, he was found by Limbus Company. He could have remained in this cycle of passivity forever, yet another company had taken him on for what he could provide rather than for he himself. He would develop the mirror technology for this one as well, but then something new happened. He was in a bus with others that he would be made to work with for several months. But his heart was still. He did not fully reach out, even if deep down he so desperately craved to. The letters, the script the sinners were made to play, were this silent cry for help. The recounting of his experiences, his pains, formatted in a manner that the sinners could receive and empathize. This realization, prompted by Hung Lao, is what pushed Dante to step into their first proper act of averting tragedy, to get him to remember what he created the mirror for.
나는 가치를 담기 위해 기술을 만든 적은 없었어. 과거로 돌아갈 재간 또한 없다는 것도 알고 있지. 그저 네가 들고 있는 그 거울은 연심이라 하오. 연심이라. 이것은 무언가를 갈아내고 마음마저도 갈아내어 광을 낸 것이기에. 그렇구나. 모든 이상은 연구의 진심이었나 봐. 사실 거울의 진실한 이름은 이것 같소. 연심. 이것은 마음과 마음을 이어주는 것 같기에 줄기차게 살아보고 퍼덕이며 날개짓 해보고 싶었기에 거울을 만들었고, 추락하더라도 좋으니 다시 한번 허공을 향해 날아보고 싶었소. 어느 날 이고는 반드시 절망하고 말 것이오. 그렇기 때문에 어디까지라도 살아야 하오. 날개가 있느냐 없느냐는 중요치 않은 것이었소. 날개가 보였다면 그 날개는 너에게 달린, 당연하게도 너의 것이겠지. 그럼 이제 땅을 박차고.
He realizes he bears his wings, the will, the passion, the desire to freely express without constraint, and takes off. And with his resolution, this uncovering of will thanks to the supportive hands held out to him, he strikes down Dongrang, the middle manager, the embodiment of the very mentality that has strayed us so far away from our most fulfilling selves, to look back on the past and to carve a way for the future. Unrestrained, kicking and flapping with all he has. And now, he has a bus of friends to walk alongside to paths yet unknown. Here, he will be able to reach a sturdy hand to any who needs his help. He will look away in passivity no longer. Everyone, thank you for watching. Take care of each other.